Okay, everybody, we're now going to head over to Mega Man X3 All Stages by the Sid. Don't forget, of course, we are doing this as a charity event for Everyone Can. If you would like to donate, if you type exclamation mark donate in the chat, that will then bring up the link for the to the Tiltify page that we are using as a fundraiser for InstaSpeedathon 2022. All proceeds through that will also go to Everyone Can as well. We have raised £390 so far, so let's keep those donations rolling in. We're only £10 away from £400, so let's try and round that off at the very least, and also try and get us to £600 so we can smash last year's donation total as well. Of course, the marathon event goal was £750. It's not impossible for us to reach that, but let's see if we can make it, because if we could get to 750, that would be absolutely incredible. But if we can smash last year's goal, then that would absolutely be wonderful as well. So, without further ado, the Sid, it's up to you now. You have the floor. Give me a countdown when you want to start, and we'll start the timer.
Sure. Is the timer on my end going to be a problem, or are we okay?
No, that bit's all covered up by my layout. So
okay. Yeah, because I was like, it doesn't say what to fill in here, so I just kind of did stuff. All right, good to know you guys got me covered. All right, well, I guess we'll get started immediately. I got plenty of stuff to go over. This game's a really unique one. In 3, 2, 1, let's go. So, this is Mega Man X3, but it's not the version I would guess most of you remember. This is actually the Japanese PlayStation 1 version, so it's technically Rockman X3. It has a couple of unique tweaks to it. One thing that a lot of people cite as being probably one of its worst flaws is the audio. The game itself is more or less the same as the Super NES version, just some wonky physics, a remixed soundtrack, and a nice little bug that will let us skip to the final stages early. Normally, you can do a low percent or any percent run with this, and it will be completely different than a Super NES run. But unfortunately, because of the way the gold armor works and is collected, it's impossible to do 100%, so the closest is a all stages run. This is more of a revenge category than anything. For anybody that's ever done 100%, you know that a lot of the mini-bosses in this game are pretty powerful, do a lot of damage. So, we're going to plow back through the boss stages once we get saber early, but we're going to have to do a lot of hard stuff up front to get a hold of it. Right off the bat, we have a couple of freebies, but the main difference, like I said, is the audio and the physics. For whatever reason, we get what's called a slow jump. Very wonky physics in this game where you just get a massively high jump for no particular reason. It also affects something that's called a 7-pixel wall kick. Basically, double kicking off a wall, which will push you out further and higher than intended, is really hard to do in this game because of that wonky jump physics. So a lot of the tricks that you'll see by better runners in X3 on the SNES version is really hard to do in this, actually. But for the most part, this category is very front-loaded. The quickest way you can go is either low percent, which is a buster-only run, skipping straight to the end stages. Ironically enough, it's actually faster I'll get out of here. It's much faster to actually kill 2 bosses, kill Vile in his secret stage, go back to Doppler after that, and then get the Z-Saber, and it just speeds things up so much that it's faster than doing it buster-only, surprisingly. 2.5 stages is quicker than just doing the end game immediately. So right now we're heading into Buffalo. We have to do 2 bosses to get Vile to spawn. So the route here kind of revolves around what we choose here. Most routes, it's much like X1, where you want the boost for movement options. It's only air dashing, but because this game has an emphasis on vertical and horizontal movement, the air dash is so nice to have. It's a really hard thing to pass up on. It also would allow us, if I were a better runner, to do a skip in Doppler 2 to climb without using the snails, but that's a tall task, even just for practice. I kind of do this a little bit more fun than serious. But if you really think this category looks cool, you should check out some of the runs on the leaderboard, and you'll see kind of like what this category should look like. This is a very casual playthrough, all stages, for sure. So like right there's a sub-tank back there. I could grab that for safety, but like I said, the wall jumps are really hard to do on the PlayStation 1 version, and I got greedy with my jump there. It's usually better to wait and jump later rather than earlier, because if you jump early, you're going to whiff and go all the way across the stage. If you jump late, at least you just fall down and can set back up really quick. Luckily, it's not much of a risk, it's just a single time. The things start getting serious when we get to Crawfish, which is it's either Crawfish or Tiger, because we need their boss weapon to actually kill Vile. Fighting Vile isn't enough, we actually need to destroy him with his weakness. So we have a choice between Crawfish and Tiger. Tiger plus the mini-boss is a lot of time loss. I'm not very good at Tiger's mini-boss, and Tiger is a lot of RNG, so I opt to go back with the Saber later. It will make God Card Machine a lot longer than it used to be, but I also I know that that's what I'm going to get, period. It does introduce time loss in God Card Machine because of the randomness of the cycles, but for the most part, it's not too bad. So Buffalo here is a really cool script, and by cool I mean heavily exploitable. The developers figured that if you were over a certain height, you would be trying to jump over Buffalo, so we can very easily just block him in the corner by jumping a small height. If you're not very good at doing the jumps, you can also add in an upwards air dash to like stagger and extend X's air time. I'll be doing that on Vile so I don't get jabbed in the face by the Vile's secret armor, special armor. Now we're heading into Crawfish. Crawfish's stage itself is pretty easy. Crawfish himself is a boss that you almost never fight Buster only. Even if you're doing low percent, you can hit him with his weakness, and then instead of becoming invincible from his weakness, he actually is vulnerable for every single frame he's flashing. So you have 2 seconds to just mash damage into him, and with 100% you can charge the weapon and just one-shot him instantaneously. So I'm going to have to do this Buster only, which is a really obnoxious fight. The reason that this is a thing is you want to die right after you finish the Vile mini-boss, after you kill him, because you don't want to finish Catfish, there's no way to exit the stage, and there's no reason to exit Vile's secret stage either. I'm going to play this a little bit safe and only lose 1 life. It always makes me a little bit more breathe easier on Catfish, or Crawfish rather, because every time I take 2 deaths there whenever I'm trying to practice, I always end up getting slapped. So it gives me a little bit more of a just relax and get through it. Obviously, it would be much more optimal to tank a death there, but there's a pretty quick one in Catfish, so we'll just... It used to be Buffalo was the place to do it, which it could have been done there as well, but it's probably a little bit quicker in Crawfish. Tiger does have a pretty optimal one right after the mini-boss, but like I said, that's actually why you would do Buffalo. Tiger's mini-boss is weak to ice, so it speeds things up. This right here really doesn't matter if we get hit by it or not, it's literally 1 damage. The one thing about X3 is projectiles do like 1, 2, 3 damage. Running into an enemy's body does like 5, 6, 7. So if you can avoid getting running into anything, that's what you want to do at all costs. So that's what makes Vile so dangerous, or not Vile, but Sigma so dangerous. Vile to a lesser extent, but Sigma to a more extent, because how big Sigma. Interesting. Okay, I want to be careful here. I didn't want to trigger the phase swap. That's what I was worried about right there. That's going to do a lot of damage if he actually hits me with it. So, okay. So yeah, I could have taken the extra death, but we'll just say it was RNG manipulation, only taking 1. We're going to head into Catfish. Vile, his capsule only spawns once you kill 2 bosses, and basically this cutscene is what does it. It'll also show off 2 mini-bosses, Bit and Bite, which we'll see well before we're actually supposed to see them properly. A Bit and Bite will be in stages 3, 4, and 5 for Bit, and Bite 6, 7, and 8. So The one reason Vile will either spawn at Buffalo, Catfish, Crawfish, and I believe there's one other stage where he has a secret capsule. Catfish is perfect for what we need because it's at the very beginning of the stage, and we don't have to worry about running into Bit and Bite, which would lose a ton of time if we didn't have... luckily with Bit, he's weak to ice, so we could use Ice Fang if we absolutely had to, but it'll take way longer than the Saber. We're going to come back and get revenge on everything, and Catfish. After I die to Vile, I'll kind of explain. Oops. You need to hold start in this version because there's cutscenes. If you don't hold start the whole time after you select the stage, it'll start up a cutscene, which, as you can tell, takes quite a while to load and then deload. So it's an unfortunate time loss, but if that's the only thing I lose time to, I'm very much okay. We're going to try and despawn the elevator here. Well, that's fine. So, Vile only dies to either S-Blades or Ray Splasher, so we need to follow up with that as much as possible. So the first beginning of this fight, I'm actually going to just use... we're just going to use the Buster for a little bit, because we actually don't have enough of the boss weapon to go all the way through his life bar. I'm also going to play it a little bit... Just take the ladder. I get it, game. You win. I gotta be a little bit careful here because my damage numbers are gonna be off from bonking that enemy. Normally, I take very specific damage here because I want to die right after Vile. So it's gonna be a little bit jank. Hopefully I don't manage to get myself hit by the machine. This is both like extremely easy to dodge and extremely hard to dodge if you're not paying attention. There we go. Okay. So this is what I was talking about with the air dash to like extend your air time. So it makes dodging this incredibly easy. So you only really need like 2 charge shots, but I do a couple of extra. I'll have to pay attention to my weapon and make sure I don't run out, but we should be fine here. Normally I would take this knee fire, but I'm not going to. We'll make this fight take a little bit longer. Okay. So yeah, I'm playing it really safe with the damage values here. Also, you want to be super careful about not standing too close to Vile or you're going to get kicked in the head. And then you're going to be in a really bad spot. Alright, I was trying to do something really cute there. You can actually get hit by the first and last bullet of his shoulder cannon. And when you get hit with the last bullet while he's dying, you will be able to move at the same time. Not super easy to activate. So right here, the best way to get the death warp here is in... Well, it's whatever. You want to leave this with numbers of 6. So if you want to play super safe and you're afraid of Vile killing you, you can do it this way. Just headbutting into the spikes on the elevator would have been the fastest way, but this works too. There's a lot worse mistakes to make. That one's a very tiny one. So this will push us out to the main map. We have no way to exit otherwise. And now the difficulty begins. So we're going to head into Doppler. And the reason that we can do this is because of the PlayStation version. If you hit down, the game hovers over the X icon for just a single frame. It's really hard to tell, but if you hit down and start on the same frame, you'll be able to... Okay, cool game. I think I'm gonna... There we go. I gotta be very careful here now, since I took damage. As you can tell, the time stops when I get a pickup. So it's extremely easy to, hold on, I gotta focus here for a second because I managed to get myself squished when I was doing my practice run a little bit ago. Alright. So, I'm just gonna reset that, there's no reason to risk getting hit for no reason. I mean, there is an HP there, but it'll end up taking longer than resetting. So yeah, the health pickups there are lethal because of the falling ceiling. You can very easily accidentally, get a time stop from the video game into a jump right into the ice spikes, or the spikes dropping down. So that's a really popular area for your run to die, unfortunately. Luckily, I've managed to make it through Doppler 1 so far. There is a decent chance I can get smacked up by God Car Machine. It's actually a fusion of Bit and Bite if you don't kill them with their weakness throughout the course of the game. Part of the reason why they spawn so late. But honestly, God Car Machine is much easier than any other option. God Car Machine is a very nice boss, actually, if you know how to deal with it. In 100%, we have enough HP to just get behind it, tank, and shoot it with Great Splasher, so there's really... we'll see an attack pattern. There would be an attack pattern that's very different from what we're going to see. We're going to play this safe. There's actually 4 total. One of them I'm going to try to not activate. If we try and climb too high on the wall, God Car Machine will fly up, and it's going to make the fight very complicated, so we're going to be sticking to the ground as much as possible. The sword that he's going to spawn, I can survive 1 hit. If I get grabbed by the hand, it's dead immediately. The only time I'll survive is if he's near death anyway. So we want to respect that grab move extremely. That is like the one move we do not bother trying to attack over. We always respect it coming out. Oops, well, that stinks. So if you jump up, you will get punched by that hand. I'm not willing to take that extra damage this into the middle of the fight. I can tank a laser beam here, but there we go. So that was pretty good, Doppler 1. Pretty good start. Absent-minded on that death abuse, because I normally do 2 in Crawfish, but for marathon runs I only do the 1, so that Crawfish, I can die to Crawfish without the worry. Bile, it's pretty hard to die to unless you're being completely absent-minded or stand right next to him and get kicked in the head as he jumps over you. So we're going to do this again. So the reason that I can hit this consistently is actually because of the PlayStation 2. There's this analog switch that you guys probably don't remember what it's for at all. Early days, it was only D-pads. So analog switches were set there to... you have to... What am I doing? Oh, God, this movement. Jack! That was almost good until I blinked. But yeah, early days, the game didn't... not every system had analog. It was a very... I'm not taking so much damage for a good reason. Why am I not letting Zero tank this damage instead? Whatever. So in the early days, there was only a D-pad and face buttons. And then they added analog later. So what that actually does, the analog switch will turn off the D-pad in an attempt to allow you to use the thumbstick instead, the analog stick. But that allows me to perfectly buffer my inputs. Oh, this is such a weird pattern. Oh, please let that. Hold on. There we go. That was a very, very silly... you can't die to anything but this. If you don't die to the cutscene, it's run over. I'd had to reset and look up a password. Probably would have been faster. Very unfortunate. Alright, so X is pretty low on HP, but I believe I've still got 2 extra lives, so I'm gonna go for it, but most likely I'm gonna jump into a shot or something stupid like that. Ice, the reason Ice has another hidden feature. Ice and Acid both enforce drops. Toxic Acid enforces weapon drops, and Ice, fortunately, enforces health drops, which makes this stuff a lot easier to do. So I'm going to be able to farm some HP right before the... dang it, that's actually very unfortunate. Like that. I'm going to grab an extra little up health build here. Okay. So now we're going to ride the snails. If I were a good runner, I could do a bunch of cool jumps here, so if you got some donations or anything, you got a chance to read them now. I'm just going to ride the snails.
Yeah, we've not any new donations in, but I'm just writing something in the chat right now. Damien has put in the link for the Tiltify page, and we're only £10 away from £400, so let's round off the donation total, shall we? And don't forget that if you donate £5 or more, then you get an entry for the Xbox Live Pass giveaway, which we'll be doing at the end of the marathon. So if you donate £10, you get an entry. If you donate 2 lots of £5, you get 2 entries. So it's a win-win. You've got to be in it to win it, of course, and you know, it's £5 or more, and let's try and round out the donation total as it currently stands at £390. Let's get to at least £400, shall we? and hopefully we can maybe get even more.
Oh, I took that extremely safe. This might be the marathon I actually don't die to everything. The last couple of times I've gotten this in, I have bonked and gotten crushed and just headbutted so much stuff. Looks like we might have some decent start going on here. Oops. Well, that's not much you can do about that. This is a really weird pattern. That is a very weird pattern, actually. I usually get missiles. Huh. Well, it doesn't really matter. Like, dying to Volt Kruger is obnoxious, but, like, dying on the spikes is way worse. Now that we're up here, we pretty much are going to be able to push through this boss fight. I'm going to unfortunately have one less life, but that'll be fine. What is this? Let's see. Not really. Okay, buddy. There we go. I played that safe because I normally see missiles, so that's a really odd pattern. He does do that sometimes, but I think that's the first time I've ever seen Volt Kruger do the fling, especially twice in a row like that. Missiles is really free, to be honest. But yeah, there is a way you can double jump with a saber. It's called a neon. It's free with it's really easy to do with a saber, but it's really hard to do with a lot of the other stuff. If you hit jump and shoot on the same frame, you'll get a double jump, which will renew your dash jump as well. Problem with the saber is it locks you in place during use, so you actually have to unlock your movement by switching to a boss weapon. So it's pretty hard to do, to be perfectly honest. So like you see right here, I'm kind of held still. I'm so used to playing 100% and my brain just was not cooperating. There we go. So I did choose S-Blades for a couple of different reasons. You have an option between S-Blades and Ray Splasher. Ray Splasher is an atrocious weapon. There's no two ways about it. It really doesn't do much. Its shooting angles are very awkward to use, and it will kill almost nothing. On the other hand, S-Blades kills pretty much everything it hits. It has a great shooting arc, and can pretty much one-shot most things that are right in front of you. So right here we're playing this a little bit, as long as I don't jump into any spikes, I'm happy. We're past most of the points where I can headbutt spikes. Normally this stage is pretty rough, and we have to save Seahorse for very much later, because the mini-boss, Seahorse, and Bit are all weak to ice. So if you get bit in this stage, you lose a ton of time, but since we have the Saber, we don't need to worry about it. If I was doing this boss properly, I would use the Z-Saber, but I'm actually going to use the normal ice method that you do for an any percent run, not normal. Or a normal NES any percent run, rather. There's a couple of these bosses that I don't do the best way possible, but it's not too bad. Movement's a little scuffed here, but you'll excuse me, it's really hard to get used to a PlayStation controller, no matter how many times you do it, it just feels weird. Alright, so this boss is a really quirky one, just like Catfish, or Crawfish rather. If you hit him with his weakness, it's not all the invincibility, but like the middle invincibility frames, where he becomes vulnerable for a set period of time. The higher you hit him, the longer. And since Ice hits twice, we get 2 hits on every one that makes contact. Unfortunate. Unfortunate. Very close to a 2-cycle, though. So you could do this a smarter way. If I was a competent speedrunner, I would hold my charge after I hit him with ice, switch off, shoot the charge shot into him, and then the Saber will hit him every frame during that fencible period where he's just vulnerable for the entire time, and you'll one-shot him. Unfortunately, I'm just not going to be able to do that, because I'm very bad with the weapon swaps. I'm only going to use weapon swaps for one particular trick. I'll show off a Saber Neon and Catfish, so I can steal the armor without using the Buster upgrade. It's probably really slow to do it, but considering how rough my boss refights are in the second to last stage, and how rough Sigma can be, it's basically a like 100% guarantee that you're not going to die. The armor puts you in a really strong position. With any reasonable amount of part upgrades plus a sub-tank, I'm most likely going to get hit here of being a goober and forgot to charge. Yep. Alright, so I'm going to change over to the weapon right now. So, Bit is normally weak to ice. This is the one thing with all stages that you need to remember is to hold your charge coming in here. Because normally with these fights, you don't want to hit them with a charged attack. Lose a little bit of time. Alright. I could have put myself closer to the door, but I just wanted to make sure to kill Bit instead of jumping around like an idiot. I messed around with him last time and ended up dancing with him for a good 10 to 15 seconds before stream, so good to go, good to go. A lot of this stage is pretty rough with only ice, or just any weapon in general. Luckily, I used to be an all stages runner, so I'm used to this awful stage with just Buster, which is this stage. On surface, seems very easy, but it's really, really harsh to get through. Also, the mini-bosses in this game have no invincibility, so as long as we bonk, we can pretty much one-shot them. See you later, buddy. And that, I can't tell you how much joy that brings me, because that guy is a horrible kill with Buster only. You have to jump into him and mash like a madman and give yourself arthritis, basically. So right here, I'm just trying to react to the patterns I see. The rocks are pretty much one-shot by S-blades as long as I land it properly. But you see, it's a different pattern. You basically just don't want to get hit by stuff. I should have been able to clear that, but it ate my input because I tried to jump while I was in the on the ladder. So Tunnel Rhino here could be safe, but I need to be careful about this. He will do a lot of damage. I'm just gonna wait for this freebie. Whoa, okay, I'll take it. Okay, sure. You usually never get to see a shortstop like that. A shortstop is very beneficial, but the problem is you're trying to react to something that there's no tell for. So it most likely will actually lose you time, because you end up jumping out of the corner trying to jump away from Rhino. But in that case, since I knew I could take the damage boost because of the saber, I ended up saving time on it. So the other thing too is once you get done with the Doppler stages, you can basically do whatever you want. Saber in hand, every stage is free. It'd be more free if I wasn't headbutting everything. I'm actually gonna take the inside here to grab some HP. Okay, yeah, the missile, I do end up taking a lot of hits here, but I'm trying not to take awful ones like that. Okay, this is actually got me a little bit worried. I'm gonna have to switch over to ice here, I think. I'm sure I don't die to something stupid. Oh! Okay. Alright, well there's that stupid death. Really? Yep, it's safe, 100% safe. It'll be safe after I get the armor. There we go. That's how you're supposed to do that movement, instead of taking 1,000 damage here. Every run I've had this in a marathon has been absolutely cursed, one way or another. Alright, this guy is safe, so there we go. If I just played it safe the first time, I shouldn't have messed around with such low HP. That was a really bad idea. The thing is, you can literally just jump over these guys, so there's no reason to do what I just did. I changed up the movement to try and get some HP and ended up getting myself killed. Alright, so I'm gonna have to focus here for a second, but didn't get it that time. It's pretty... once you've practiced it, you end up really mashing a lot. So getting the second jump, normally you have to either release the shoot of your charged Buster or press it on the same frame. If you actually had the upgraded Buster, but with the Saber, you pretty much have like every single frame. The Saber is active, it will activate the bug. Yeah, okay, we're still in Bit's stages, and I already killed Bit. We're gonna try and farm some HP, I think. Don't know how well this is gonna work out, but no matter what we do here, it's gonna be kind of obnoxious. Oh, cool. Never mind. Not farming anything, it looks like. Oh, please stop headbutting everything. Oh, dude. Oh, okay, fine. Whatever, I should have waited to farm in Sigma stage. I usually use S-Blades there, but there also seems to be like an increased pickup rate on the PlayStation version. I don't know, maybe it's just some sort of placebo effect. So Catfish here we need to be extremely careful with. if he drops below half health, which all the bosses in this game have a phase change if they drop below half, and they add in an additional move. Rhino is weird, where his is based on you dying in the stage. I was just waiting for him to attack so he didn't jump on me and cancel the saber. The saber is very powerful, but if you get hit when you're trying to release it, the game will cancel it out, and you'll lose the saber and have to recharge. Luckily, since this is quote-unquote any percent type thing, the charge is pretty quick. But if you put Catfish into his secondary phase, you're in a rough situation. And the thing is that Catfish will jump into the center of the screen until he dies over and over again and become fully invincible, so pretty rough. Okay, nice. Alright, so you would normally be able to jump through the top of ladders in this game, but it's really hard to do on the PlayStation because of what I said earlier with the wonky jump physics. This guy right here is part of the reason why I didn't do Tiger earlier. You need to kill him with ice, and it's really obnoxious to do. Right there, you're probably thinking, why didn't I hit him with a saber sooner? I found that if you hit him when he's dipping down, you never get to kill. But if you wait till he's hooking up with the saber, you'll get the one shot. I should have grabbed that for my sub-tank. Whatever. I'll farm it and freaking save the stage anyway. So the drill here has some pretty interesting properties. You'll see that, like, I'm just kind of dashing through stuff here. I mean, you can do that normally, but the drill, like, does this weird thing where it, like, removes a enemy's hurt box, whatever. So you can basically, you get a couple of frames to just dash through everything. It's unfortunate. I'm gonna forget to charge the saber in the next stage, too, I know it. Oh. There we go. So, like I said, we're pretty much on cruise control now. Though now that I've said that, I'll probably manage to find some place to die again in some silly area. We're gonna grab a couple more hearts. Honestly, 1 sub, 1 heart armor is going to be the, like, changing enough to change the patterns, or, like, reduce your damage enough to get an extra couple of hits. Normally, it's just, like, 1 heart would be an additional hit, a sub-tank would be another one. But I'm playing this super safe. Okay, that's really good. There we go. Optimal. So the thing with Tiger is normally when you shoot a fully charged shot, you'll put his claw up and block. So you need to wait until Tiger moves so that you can actually hit him. If you try and throw the saber, it counts as a charged shot as well, so he'll always block it. So that's why I like doing Crawfish, among, having S-Blades being absolutely busted. That I prefer doing Crawfish first over Tiger and not having to deal with that RNG. Buster Tiger fight is pretty, like, awful. I'm not a fan. Oh, good. Wow. I actually thought I wasn't going to get hit for a second there. Alright, so you can charge your weapon while you have a armor, or a boss weapon on. You won't be able to use the charged boss weapon version, though, when you only have the saber. Also, you can hold start to mash through these dialogues instantaneously. That was a very interesting choice. Okay, that's wrong. I didn't know how close I could get, because you rarely get him caught in that punching phase, and I didn't want to walk too close to get hit, so I was just guessing that the saber would hit. So we're going to use the drill again here. This is a little bit more of a obvious spot, because, like, I literally jump into half of these enemies, and I'm probably... okay. Sometimes. This game is has extremely, what's the word I'm looking for here? Rewarding movement. That's only when you do it right. Yeah, that's pretty close. We'll grab the life here, since I'm gonna... Any day? Okay. It's actually really tough to get the movement up this elevator. No matter what you have, it's really hard to optimize it. It seems extremely simple when you look at it and you see it's like, oh, just turn around and shoot the opposite direction. And then when you realize it's like near 1 frame chicanery, you're like, oh, never mind. That's, oh, cool. Yep. This spot right here is also very Okay. Really, I haven't figured out a good way to get through this hallway yet. There's a ton of different older routes, but that's why I kind of dislike S-Blades, because of the random extra drop and then having to wait for it to refill the weapon. So Beetle, Beatbot, if you're familiar with the Japanese version, is a little bit random here. He might give us... Nope, no invincibility yet. So we have one more boss, and then we're going to be heading back into the final stages. My revenge is almost complete. Good to good. Managed to pick up an extra life. For the most part, lives kind of become unconsequential. You can tank a death in the boss refight if you really want to. But with the amount of HP, armor, and sub-tank shouldn't come up, but without the amount of armor and HP, I should be just fine. This stage, I kind of loathe, because this overhang is, like, impossible. I swear. Or I could just one-try it and make myself a liar. There you go. Okay, you actually... I didn't want to use that shot. So there is a little mini-boss coming up. There's also a little health pack down to the left. I considered showing it for a fraction of a second and decided not to. So this guy right here... one saber is not enough, surprisingly, but a charge shot will be enough, so I'm just going to kind of chillax and throw the saber as it comes towards me. I couldn't ever figure out anything good for the roof movement here, even with all the boss weapons at my disposal. Either they're too slow, I can't reactivate them quickly enough because they put a bunch of part of junk on screen, or they just won't allow me to refire them over and over again. We already killed Spike, so I don't have to worry about that. This is probably the gravest offense of the things I did in this run. Grabbing this heart tank's pretty slow, but, you know, sometimes you gotta make sure, because, if Big Sig in this game doesn't scare you, I don't know what you're afraid of. You're a better person than I. Big Sig in this game is terrifying. Even as somebody that's run this game and knows it. Alright, nice HP up. Too bad I don't need it. So these things right here can be put out in one shot. This game does still have the dash lemons. You may be wondering why I wasn't using them and just using charge shots. It's only effective on enemies, not bosses. So we're in this weird place where we have to do the charge shot. So weakness order ends up being a lot more important in this version. Or in X3 than the other ones. Wait. Alright. At least I didn't get a weird... a lot of these bosses can give you some weird patterns. At least it was only Volt Kruger that gave me that weird stuff. I'd much rather die to Volt Kruger than die on the elevator, which has happened before. Ugh. And good to go. So now we're headed back into the final stage, and I don't need to perform a glitch this time, so... definitely doing well. It doesn't mean that this... we're going back into the danger zone here for sure. Trying to kill all these bosses with Z-Saber is both free and difficult at the same time. You can't go into any of these fights with a charged shot, so you don't have that first free half damage right off the bat. So you gotta make sure to set up for it as much as possible. Like, Hornet right here, I'm gonna have to do in a really weird way. Yeah, I moved a little bit too far. So a lot of these fights, I'm trying to minimize how many times I get thunked. You know, but, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? Not hold the start button, that's a good one. Probably a fantastic idea. So it's just mainly a lot of Saber stuff, so if you have anything you need to read, now's a good time.
There's no donations in, but for anyone who does want to donate, the link is being posted periodically in the chat. We're only £10 away from 400 pounds, so if anybody wants to donate, then please do so. It is absolutely very, very helpful. All the money goes to EveryoneCan. They are a fantastic charity. They're based in Manchester. They help disabled people play games using custom gaming peripherals. Again, we're only £10 away from 400. And of course, any donation over £5 gives you an entry for the Xbox Live Pass giveaway, which we'll be doing at the end of the marathon. So anyone who wants to donate, please do so by going to the Tiltify link that's being posted in the chat.
Alright, so you guys almost saw why you don't want to shoot catfish. That right there was him jumping to the center to start his invincibility. I do have, in both cases when I fight him, I do have drill, which is the way to like end the invincibility early. But it takes a while because it's a long time to hit him out of it. So if I hadn't caught him with the saber right there, I would have been sitting there for quite a while, looking a little bit foolish. Speaking of which, we're going to go into ice and take care of Toxic Seahorse. Once again, you can do Toxic Seahorse. You can hit him with the ice for his weakness, and then saber through those that period of time where he's just invincible and will get one shot by the saber. I don't know why, but I just learned to do the route this way. This definitely loses time for sure, but bummer. What a bummer, dude. Okay. Also, you can do the same thing with crawfish. The thing with crawfish is, I have a hell of a time with him. Oh, am I? Okay, I thought I was holding it too long. Also, you can, my brain was so used to using thumbsticks, it started using the thumbstick. I was like, wait, what? What am I doing? Alright. So, what do we got here? I guess I might as well tank this. Here we go. So we got 3 bosses left. We have Crawfish, Tiger, and Beetle. Beetle, no, I think we just took care of Beetle. So it's just Crawfish and Tiger, actually. A liar. Yeah. I guess we'll do Crawfish first, because I hate myself. Should be getting close to the end here, as long as I don't get capped by Sigma. The timing does end in a weird spot. So right here, you actually have to mash out of the, there we go. You have to mash out of that grab. I should have enough HP unless I die to Tiger. I will have a refill right before Doppler. I'll have to tank a couple of hits on him, so I'll take the extra time loss of picking up the HP. I can get free HPs, pickups off of, this, middle capsule I keep landing on. Also, if you land in the right spot, you can stand in between the Oh, oops, that is not. What are you doing? Oh, yeah, I forgot. There's that weird thing that can happen. If you actually switch over to Zero after you've taken the Z-Saber from him, you actually like have to roll the menu back with L and R. So a lot of people don't even know Zero is accessible in this game. And the problem is with this game, he's like pretty much... Oh god, I did that the wrong way. You actually want to hold your charge shot coming into this room because Dr. Doppler also has a field quite like Tigers. So we'll just fire off the saber. There's not much I can do about it right now. Just gonna have to deal with it. See, because if I hit him with this, he'll get instantly healed. So that'll reset the cycle, actually. Come on, buddy. There we go. That was a really jank way to do it, but we're into the final stretch. Hopefully I don't get Sigma-nigma'd. Sigma is a very hard boss. He's the exception to the rule in this game. He very much does a ton of damage, even with projectiles. The only part of the boss that doesn't do is the first phase of Sigma. His initial fireballs, I believe, do 2. And when he fires them at the ground in the air, it does 3, but it does 1 if it's angled at the corner. But I mean, if you're getting hit by the ones that angled at the corner, you're in a bad spot anyway, to be perfectly honest. We want to fill up my sub-tank. A bit more there. I think I should be good to go. I just want to double check. Nope. Actually, I'll get it ready. You know what? I'm just gonna... I'm not gonna risk that. Yeah, but what I'm gonna do, though, is... Okay, good. See, if I hadn't filled up that sub-tank, I'd have gotten squat for healing. You'll get, like, a third of your HP bar. You get, like, nothing if you don't have a full sub-tank. So the beginning of this fight is both extremely easy and extremely difficult. He will fire 6 fireballs at us. I can jump over and slash him over the shield, but because the saber locks me in place, I will take a hit. So I'm going to be playing this safe. So you just jump, stand, dash, jump, stand, dash, stand in the corner. There you go. I'll do it all again. There you go. So Captain America is both extremely easy and extremely difficult at the same time. If you get too worked up about it, you can take a lot of damage here, and you're in a very rough spot. Uh-oh. What am I doing? I forgot. With the, you can open the menu during all these boss fights if you don't wait until this black box shows up. So we got Big Sig coming. Hopefully I don't get tanked. I might have to do this fight again. Big Sig does do a lot of damage, but I have all the advantages possible right now. Gonna take the movement here very slow. So the missiles here will always bounce off a wall and then retarget where you're standing. Okay, missed. Right, like that. Okay, and then I bonk into him. Alright. You just want to keep playing this slow. Don't lose your cool with Big Sig, or you're gonna take a lot of damage really quick. Okay, I could have sabered there, but I decided not to. And I trapped myself. If I hit the saber here, I'll... Okay, yeah, I'll heal. That's worth it. Yeah, right here you're in a really rough spot. There we go. The purple laser does 1 damage over a tick. The missiles will bounce off the wall, or mines rather, bounce off the wall and retarget you directly. As you, where you're standing as they bounce off the corner, and the missiles will target where you are at the moment they launch. So now we're good to go. The timer will be ending in a second here. I actually have to get to the top of this wall. This has killed more people than it probably should have. Sigma's already extremely difficult, and putting this escape sequence is really rude. Really, really rude. So it'll be time in 1, 2... There you go. This game is normally a unmitigated disaster for me, and since I only died to Volt Kruger, I am extremely happy with this run. The last couple of marathons, this run was not nice, so I'm extremely happy with what I got here. That was a really safe play, though, playing with only 1 sacrifice, tanking an extra death in Vial, going for the armor and the excessive amount of HP ups. But you can see why. If you don't space your sabers out properly as you're jumping at Sigma, you can very easily bonk him for a ton of damage. The armor does help mitigate that and the missile damage, but like you really need a lot of juice to get through this. Unless you're really consistent with it. I played that Big Sig very slow.
Well done, you got a 45, 54.
I was like, 54? What?
I read it wrong.
45, that's fantastic. My PB is 44. This game is both fun. This category is really nice in the back end, but it is very front-heavy difficulty. If you're going to bother doing this, you might as well just do any percent. Instead of, it is kind of fun going through all the bosses, but it ends up being very kind of sluggish, and it's just like, I should have just killed Sigma instead of going back for armor and making this an excuse to do so. But X3 has a lot of cool runs. There's a lot of tricks in the Mega Man X community, so if you guys are interested, there's the Discord and all that stuff, but I guess that's it for me. Since we're a little bit behind, we can move forward quicker, if you'd like.
Are you behind? I don't think we're behind.
Oh, okay. I thought I was supposed to start at 12:50, so I guess maybe I pulled it back in.
There was a slight problem. We had to kind of delay the Negima Neo Pacto fight to after the tea break.
Oh, okay.
And then it's fine. It doesn't really matter about today, in all fairness. You've got plenty of time.
Sure. I guess I can even watch a little bit of the credits here. You'll get to see some of the cutscenes that exist in the game. I skipped most of them by starting the boss stages and just holding down start. The one of the neat things with this is actually a port of the Saturn version. There's the Saturn Japanese X3, PlayStation 1 Japanese X3. They both have the same bug. There's also the PlayStation 2, Xbox, and GameCube collection. They all, for some reason, have this version of X3 instead of the SNES version, which is like a lot of people dislike. But they all have that bug too. Unfortunately, you can't use the analog setting to buffer the input, so you will have to do 2 frame perfect down start inputs. But it's really not that hard. If you guys think this looks like really mauled and bit rated, it's because that's the video. The video is just, it's an old video and they're like, yeah, this will work instead of in-game graphics. So
right, well, thank you very much for the run today.
Yeah, thanks for letting me do the run.
No problem.